What's up, guys? It's been a while. Streamwalkers Archery here, going through the new setup for 2025 for 2026, I guess, at this point.
Sure.
For Hoyt. So, I got myself an Xceed 2 with some metric slims, and we're going to walk through the differences for you. So, starting off, the unveiling. That guy.
Oh, yeah.
Some of you probably seen this on my Instagram already. That is some color of green. No idea what they call it, but it's pretty cool. So there's that guy. And basically, it's an Xceed, but different. So that's pretty cool. They kind of went away from the Veritune plate and went to a Veritune plate that's
More integrated.
Yep. So you get some stiffness out of the center of the riser there. And then for you Olympic recurve shooters, this little clicker plate thing gets more feel in the riser when it goes off. So
More of a tactile response.
yep. So, if it's loud while you're shooting, then you'll kind of lose that ability to hear that as well. So
You feel it.
it's nice to feel it. Plus, I think this might not be a medical fact, but I feel like when something is tactile like that, it's faster response.
Hey.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Sure.
Fact check that. But yeah, I got my cool Jaeger grip on here. This is the Champions grip.
I don't know what we call it. I don't know what we call it.
I guess what they call it when I'm ordering.
I designed it with Jaeger a couple of years ago, and it came out. It's a mix of the JD3 and the Brady Ellison grip, and just had a nice, beautiful child in this grip. And that is what Zach and I solely shoot now.
Yep.
I just don't know what it's called.
I'm pretty sure it's Champions.
A champ.
You can find it on Jaeger, Jaeger Archery, not the beverage. So, but basically, I got the same limb pocket dampeners here and the same adjustment for, is that performance? Is that what that?
Yeah, they're I think they call them
Supposed to be rocker for your limb. So it's supposed to give you a different feel
limb rockers.
out of that same limb. So, yeah, different riser geometry than the GMX3. Was good.
I
Just Robbie's bow. So you can visibly see these are both 25-inch bows, and you can see that the shelf on this guy is much lower than the shelf on the Xceed 2.
The GMX3 and the Formula XD, the previous model bow, had now what they call the advanced Hoyt geometry. So it's that lower geometry.
So you got more riser up top than you do on the bottom. Basically, the pivot point of the bow is lower than the Earl Hoyt geometry.
Yes.
Which is what this guy is. So we went backwards a little bit, but I think most of us are fairly pleased with that.
Yes.
At least I am. I mean, so this is an interesting deal for me personally because I've been shooting the GMX3 for like a year and a half.
The entirety of his barebow career, besides the first 3 months when he shot a bow from 2003.
Yep. So basically the only bow from this decade that I've shot from Hoyt has been this GMX3, which has that different riser geometry. So swapping over is a little interesting. I don't know. It's not drastically different, I don't think. It's more of a subtle deal, but it's definitely feels different. And then to compare with the even older model, the Xceed, original Xceed, kind of giving a little bit of a side-by-side view here.
They're very, very similar in terms of how beefy the riser is, front to back, side to side. Very, very.
Maybe the Xceed 2 is a little bit beefier.
It looks a little beefier. That looks a little beefier. We have no way to quantify that, though.
Yeah.
It looks that way.
limb pockets definitely seem to be a little beefed up as well in comparison. And just kind of eyeballing it. Thickening around the limb pocket, a little more support on the backside here, so you get some rigidity out of that.
Yeah. So these are the same geometry. This is the original Earl Hoyt geometry. This is what's been shot for decades by Olympic and barebow shooters that shoot Hoyt.
So a couple of things that I noticed right off the bat too when I went to set this bad boy up. So we were always shooting these limb pocket weights from ramrods that on the GMX and the Xceed would fit in right into this limb pocket hole here. And I have a similar hole underneath this dampener and a little screw hole in the back that goes all the way through. But the shape of the ramrod's weight doesn't fit in the pocket. So I would not be surprised if we saw a new one of those out of them just for this newer model Hoyt. And the other thing
we tried was the Xceed specific one. Correct. Because they made two different models. I didn't fact check him before we did this. There's a tungsten dampening one that fits in the Xceeds and the GMXs. And then in the Formula XD, there is a smaller one that's a 3.5 solid tungsten. So,
I tried the tungsten dampening one.
Okay, so the tungsten dampening is a little bit bigger. We'll get back to you and see if the solid tungsten one fits on the inside, because it is a little bit smaller in diameter.
Yep. The other thing that immediately was noticed is this Veritune plate used to have a medium and a high. I'm referring to like where the burger hole is. So this one is just centered, and that is the only option you're going to get. So that was a little bit interesting. Turns out not a lot of people shoot the high one other than pro staff members. So Robbie and I both shot highs, and I didn't really play with anything but a high.
You got to remember, like, I shot a high plate because somebody better than me told me that's what they shot, and Zach shot a high plate because that's what I told him to shoot.
Yep.
So that middle plate may be better. It may shoot the same. It may not. We don't know yet. We're just trying to give you factual information, but as little bias as possible.
I will say it kind of makes sense if you think about it. The high plate and the different geometry would shoot roughly the same as the medium, the middle plate, and the Earl Hoyt geometry. Because the whole thing should be shifted up a little higher in the Earl Hoyt.
Mm-hmm.
So
they may be close to matching.
Yep.
We can confirm that a little later. We're not engineers. Is that what it is?
I'm a process engineer, so
but
just build stuff.
We're not bow engineers. So
yep,
we just shoot.
So moving on from that, I got the other fun piece of this thing, and that is the metrics limbs. Besides the fact that they look cool, at least I think. Got a nice view of the front there, of the white, and then the back side is a glossed over, like clear laminate over top of carbon, which is pretty cool. Still shows the weave like the Axias and the Velos did. Just on the back side.
Velos, Quattros, I think.
Yep. So the front side is their coating for UV. So it's supposed to keep the limbs significantly cooler, at least according to the white papers. Have not tried that because it's indoor season for me. So I'm not really worried about that until outdoor.
And aside from today, we haven't been above 75 in a week. So that doesn't test out your thermal variations very much.
Yep.
So this is obviously the ILF version because the Xceed is the ILF riser. We still have these buttons in here that help protect the limb from the tiller bolt.
Looks like it has the same little detent thing here with the same little screw on the backside as like your Axios and Velos thing. Yeah, I mean, they seem like the little bit I've been shooting, they seem like they stack maybe about the same, a little more. I need to put them on a scale and see for sure, but no, it's roughly a little wider, actually.
A little wider than the Axias, especially how it tapers down to the tip. A little beefier, a little more torsional stability in that. I haven't gotten these limbs yet, so I haven't gotten to shoot them, but Zach hasn't had anything but good things to say about it.
Yep, so I mean, they stack about the same. We tune a little different. I see this bow and these limbs in general. So I'm shooting the same indoor arrows as I was last year with the GMX3, with the Xceed 2 and the metric slows. Same poundage limbs, longs, same. Also foam limbs, same. And then, so I've got 475 Easton Super Drive 23s. And they had 160 up front at full length. And they were tuning like slightly weak, which is kind of what you want out of the GMX3 with Axios. And then I threw them on the Xceed 2 with these metric limbs. And we started getting something a little funky. And I'm not entirely sure why that is, but and Demer, if he watches this, will be really proud that I admit that a false weak tune exists, and I have seen it because I was a non-believer, because I've never had that before. So basically what I'm saying is false weak. What you're looking at is an arrow that acts weak but is actually stiff.
The bear shaft shows weak because it's making contact with the bow in some capacity as it's coming out on the shot. So the bear shaft will show that it is very big, crazy looking weak bear shaft that doesn't head anywhere close to the fletch shafts. But when you would adjust poundage or point weight to make it act stiffer, it would make it worse. Or at some point it'd eventually get it to actually show stiff. So
kind of my experience was I turned my draw weight down, and it actually made the issue worse or about the same, which is not what you would expect. As you turn the draw weight down, you would expect the arrow to show stiffer, and for a right-handed archer, you'd see bear shaft going to the left instead of to the right. So yeah, I was evidently getting something that was stiff enough to show false weak too. So I added point weight and broke it down and turned my draw weight back up, and I think we're good now. Okay, and it was just something a little bit weird that I experienced that I don't know quite why. And I'm sure it's nothing to do with the bow or the limbs or anything like that. It's just definite to occur.
It's something that
I thought that I would share that with you just in case you see some crazy stuff like that, so you might know roughly what it is.
Yeah, so whenever you get a new bow or a new set of limbs or new arrows, obviously you have to retune it, and you have to kind of treat it that it won't tune the same. You have to start from ground zero, and Zach started from, step 10 of his tuning process, because those are the arrows he had. He did the same weight limbs, same length riser, all that jazz, and it did not act the same. So when you get a new bow, new set of limbs, new anything, you have to retune, because there's a very solid chance it will behave differently. So,
true.
Some of the characteristic differences between these risers, we showed that the Xceed 1 and the Xceed 2 are very similar in build, how beefy they are, the rigidity of the riser. The Xceed was always a more rigid riser than, say, the Epic and the GMX3. You hold these up side by side. The GMX3 is more slender, more sexy, right? Like, it looks smoother. And the Xceed 2 is blockier and beefier. So you're going to have a different response at the shot. It's going to feel different. It's going to respond different. Aside from the geometry portion itself, where this has a higher geometry than this.
Once I shoot that a little bit for you guys, I'll kind of get into some of that feel. That's going to be like one of the main things that I noticed with that bow is just how different it feels, especially at and after the shot. So very different reaction, different feedback out of the bow at shots.
Now, this different feedback is not good. It is not bad. It is just simply an objective sensation that we have at the shot. Some people prefer a riser that's less rigid. Some people prefer a riser that's more rigid. The performance of the equipment comes down to how much time you're willing to spend with it, tuning it, and then fine-tuning yourself and your mental process. That's what's going to dictate how well something shoots. But like I said prior, we're just here to give you our thoughts and the most objective facts that we can about it. This bow is going to be stiffer than your GMX3 and your Xceed, and that may help you shoot. That you may not like it, but you gotta try it out and see for yourself.
And you may be kind of like me, and you might just kind of notice that it's different and not really care. Because, I mean, when I first started shooting barrel, I was shooting a Hoyt Matrix.
A 23-inch Hoyt Matrix.
You Google that, and you'll see how old it is. I shot that bow very, very well. So I'm fairly confident in my ability that, like, if I adapt to a bow, I can shoot it very well at a very high level. So I'm confident in you that no matter what bow you shoot, you may have a personal preference or some kind of inkling towards one or the other, but you can shoot both very well. You know, Hoyt's been making very nice bows for a great many years, so don't knock it till you try.
The other piece of that is, if you do prefer a softer riser, less rigid riser, they're still making a formula bow that is very much so this more slender, softer feel. So you gotta pick your poison there, whatever you dig.
Yep. And as soon as one of us gets one of those, we'll probably drop another video on that guy just to kind of highlight the differences between the two, especially shot feel, and which I genuinely have no idea what's going to be the difference, but we'll keep you guys posted once we know.
So, because I shot the XD for some stuff over the summer, just for fun. I got that bow to shoot very, very well. And then I got the Xceed to shoot very, very well too. And I could shoot them side by side, and they both performed very, very well.
Yeah. Well, enough chatting.
Okay, let's put it together.
I'm going to put this guy together. We'll go shoot it, and I'll give you some thoughts and feelings while we do that. Ta-da! Alright guys, we're on the range. I'm shooting this bow, and it feels pretty good. Initially, I was kind of shocked because the only thing I'd shot was GMX3. And I think I talked earlier about the feedback of this bow. So, GMX3, I feel like, was maybe a little bit more extreme. Almost like kind of a wing right in the beginning, and then nothing. It died off very quick. This guy is giving me a little bit more of a longer feel after the shot. So we have a little bit more of a long, drawn out feedback from it. Which honestly, I kind of like. I don't really, pay attention to feedback that much. But it's kind of the first thing you always notice whenever you go to shoot a bow. You're like, oh, this draw is smooth, this draw is hard. It feels fast, it feels slow, it twangs after the shot. So that feedback after the shot is something that's been prevalent. Again, not a bad thing by any means. And I would say that I think like the draw cycle of this actually feels a little sweet. At first, I was like, man, I feel like this stacks more. But the more I shoot it, the more I pay attention to like the nuanced amount of weight that I'm getting when I come back. And I feel like it's actually smoother, which is kind of cool. I don't have like a scientific way to explain that to you.
Yeah, no draw force curves from the string walker boys.
I do not have the machine nor the know-how on how to run a draw force curve for you, but I'm sure that somebody will at some point, and they will tell you that it feels a little smoother than the Xceeds, which is cool. It's not necessarily a deal breaker either way, but it's always nice. A little less strain on your body, so you can keep shooting longer. What else? I think it's actually quieter than when I had my GMX3 too, which is kind of cool. Again, doesn't really make any difference on where the arrow goes, but
Paper doesn't duck strings.
yeah, paper doesn't duck strings. So, but it makes you it's more pleasurable, I suppose, on the ear. And there's a close up of the backside. You can see the carpet weave in there. It's kind of sick. Very glossy limbs.
Shiny.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, smoother, it holds well, a little quieter, different feedback. But I mean, it feels good in the hand. The grip is definitely thicker than the GMX3, which I actually really like. It kind of reminds me of my Matrix a little bit, which is kind of a fun little nostalgia thing. That it just feels like you're grabbing something instead of this little dainty grip. It got some kind of security there on. Then when I say fatter, I feel like it's fatter this way here, width-wise, not necessarily that way, but this way. So, and again, I haven't measured that. I don't have any scientific facts to back that up, but that's what it feels like. Yeah, I mean, overall, great shooting bow. If you get the chance to shoot one, I would definitely recommend it. If you can draw 40, 45 pounds back, I'll be at the Texas Ringer on the 20th, 21st. If you're nice to me, I'll let you shoot it.
You don't have to be nice to him.
But yeah, I think I've already got a couple people lined up that wanted to shoot it. So, time depending. We shoot Saturday afternoon, so by the time we get done, we'll be ready for some food. But I'll try and stick around a little bit. Let some people shoot this thing, see if they like it. Yeah, I mean, other than that, leave your questions in the comments. We'll try and get back to you on those with a somewhat intelligent answer.
That won't happen. It won't be intelligent. We'll answer it, but it won't be intelligent.
And yeah, I will catch you next time. Thanks, guys.
Peace.